Have you ever noticed how the moment you share your deepest thoughts, something shifts in the room? The person listening smiles, nods, maybe even affirms what you've said, but behind their eyes, you can feel it. They're cataloging, filing away your vulnerability like ammunition they might need later. It's subtle, almost invisible, but if you're truly awake, you've felt it. That strange tension between wanting to be understood and knowing that every word you speak hands someone else a piece of your power. Imagine walking through life with a kind of vision most people don't have. You see the games being played, the masks people wear, the invisible hierarchies everyone pretends don't exist. You've woken up to the illusion, and suddenly the world looks different, sharper, clearer. But here's the paradox. The more you see, the less you can say. Because the moment you reveal that you no longer hypnotized by the same dream everyone else is living, you become a threat. Not because you want to be, but because clarity itself is dangerous to those who survive on comfort and predictability. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew that power wasn't about having the loudest voice or the most charm. It was about control. Specifically, control over what you reveal. Most people think being open is a strength, that honesty builds trust and transparency earns respect. But Machiavelli would call that voluntary disarmament. In a world where everyone is scanning for weakness, every personal detail you offer becomes a weapon in someone else's hands. The truth is, the world doesn't reward transparency. It exploits it. There are 5 things that once revealed quietly shift the balance of power against you. You won't notice it immediately. It's not dramatic, but over time, you'll feel it. Every time you open up about these things, you'll feel a little more seen, but a little less respected. A little lighter, but a little weaker. And if you're paying attention, you'll start to realize that the most powerful people you've ever encountered share one common trait. They know exactly what not to say. The first thing you must never reveal is your mental distance. When you're awake, you see the illusions people live under. The social hierarchies they chase, like children chasing shadows. The false identities they construct to protect themselves from their own emptiness. The noise they mistake for meaning. You see it all, and you've stepped back from it. But if you let that show, if you reveal that you've detached from the collective dream, you become the enemy of their comfort. They won't admire your clarity. They'll fear it. Because once they realize you're not playing the same game they are, you stop being predictable. And unpredictable people can't be controlled. That's why Machiavelli would tell you to act as if you still belong to the illusion. Blend in, smile, pretend you believe what they believe. Your awareness is your greatest weapon, but the moment you brandish it, you give your opponents time to prepare their defenses. Let them think you're still part of the crowd, even when you've already left it mentally. Move through the world like a ghost among sleepwalkers, untouched, unseen, unattached. The second thing you must conceal is your inner war. Every mentally awake person fights one. It's the war between what you know and what you still feel, between old programming and new awareness, between wanting to save people and realizing you can't. This battle is what makes you powerful, but it also makes you vulnerable. And people can smell unresolved conflict like blood in the water. The moment you talk about your doubts, your insecurities, your confusion, even in the name of honesty, most people won't understand it. They'll categorize it, label it. You're overthinking. You're being negative. You've changed. They'll try to pull you back down to the level they're comfortable with, where everyone pretends to have it together and no one admits they're lost. Machiavelli would say, conceal the chaos until it's complete. The alchemist doesn't reveal the formula mid-transformation. You don't expose your inner war while it's still burning. Because while you're fighting your own mind, others are watching, waiting to use your instability as leverage. They'll offer advice you didn't ask for. They'll question your decisions. They'll plant seeds of doubt disguised as concern. And before you know it, you're defending yourself to people who have no idea what you're building. The calmest face in the room is often the one surviving the greatest internal storm, but only the wise know that. Now here's the question that should be burning in your mind. If silence is this powerful, why does it feel so unnatural? Why does every fiber of your being want to explain yourself? To be understood? To prove that your awareness is real? Because you've been trained since childhood to equate expression with connection, to believe that openness equals intimacy. But what if that's the biggest lie of all? The third thing you must never reveal is your source of power. Every mentally awake person eventually finds one. A principle, a practice, a truth that anchors them while the rest of the world spins out of control. Maybe it's detachment. Maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's the refusal to be emotionally blackmailed by guilt or obligation. Whatever it is, it's sacred. And once people learn what stabilizes you, they'll find ways to disrupt it. Not always out of malice. Sometimes just out of their own need for comfort. If your strength is solitude, they'll invade your silence with demands and questions. If it's confidence, they'll question every decision you make. If it's moral clarity, they'll tempt you with ambiguity and compromise. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Power is not only about possession, but protection. The strongest fortress is the one no one knows exists. So guard your rituals, your routines, your sources of strength as if they were state secrets. Never explain what gives you peace. Just live it quietly until the results speak for you. There's a reason every powerful person in history carried a certain mystery around them. It wasn't always intentional. Sometimes it was simply intelligence. They knew too much to speak freely. The mentally awake realized that words are currency, and the economy of trust is always unstable. Most people spend their thoughts on anyone who will listen, scattering their inner world like coins in the street. But the awakened invest theirs only where silence has been earned. This brings us to the fourth thing you must conceal: your disillusionment. The day your mind wakes up, you see how everything you were told was inverted. The good are often powerless. The humble are often ignored. The loud are mistaken for confident, and the quiet for weak. This realization burns, but it also liberates. Yet if you share it too early, people will mistake your awakening for bitterness. They'll accuse you of arrogance, of losing faith, of thinking you're better than everyone else. They'll try to reshackle your mind with guilt and obligation. So you must let your silence become your rebellion. Machiavelli would say, reveal your conclusions only when you can enforce them. Until then, nod and smile while you rebuild your understanding of the world. Because truth, when spoken without power, becomes noise. And in a world addicted to illusion, noise gets buried quickly. The fifth and perhaps most dangerous thing to reveal is your vision. Once you begin to think beyond what's visible, to plan years ahead, to see outcomes others can't yet imagine, you step onto a higher battlefield. Vision is the crown jewel of an awake mind. But if you expose it prematurely, people will either steal it, mock it, or sabotage it. Not because they're evil, but because it reminds them of their own smallness. They'll tell you to be realistic, to slow down, to stay safe. But their advice isn't wisdom. It's fear disguised as care. Machiavelli would smile here. He knew that visionaries must often play fools until the moment arrives. Because the less others expect from you, the easier it is to move unchallenged. Keep your ambition sealed in quiet labor. When it finally manifests, no one will believe it came from you. And that disbelief becomes the sweetest shield of all. Most people imagine power as loud, confident, visible. But true power, Machiavellian power, is subtle, invisible, nearly spiritual. It lives in the silence between what you know and what you choose to say. Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, you build inner gravity. People can feel it without understanding it. They'll sense something about you, something self-contained, something untouchable. And it will either draw them in with curiosity or push them away with fear. Both reactions are useful. Being mentally awake is not about exposing truth. It's about embodying it so deeply that you no longer need validation. The 5 things you conceal become the armor of your consciousness. They keep your energy undiluted. Because the truth is, every revelation costs energy, and every audience demands performance. If you're not careful, you spend your awareness trying to prove it exists. And that's how the awake become exhausted. They mistake expression for connection, confession for depth, openness for intimacy. But Machiavelli would remind you, the one who controls what they reveal controls the game. So test yourself. Notice when you feel that impulse to explain who you are, why you've changed, what you're building. Notice who you're trying to convince, and ask yourself why. If the answer is validation, stop, because the mentally awake don't need witnesses. They need results. Every secret you keep sharpens your edge. Every silence makes you unpredictable. And in a world where everyone broadcasts everything, unpredictability is the last form of mystery left. The ones who understand this move differently. They watch more than they speak. They've learned that being misunderstood is safer than being fully known. Because when people think they've figured you out, they stop fearing you. When they can't, they start respecting you.